What is up, y'all? So I wanted to do another episode of Humbly Before God, and just a transparent moment. So I've mentioned it before, like I've been trying to start a channel forever. Oh, I don't know why, but this ring on my finger feels weird. It doesn't feel weird, it looks weird. Something about to change over here. I don't know what I'm gonna change, but something's gonna change over here. Anyway. But I've been wanting to do an episode. I've been wanting to have a channel for a while, but I've always just been really nervous about what it's going to be about and just wanting to get it right the first time. And so I just did the episode about, my finances, which I'm actually very excited to track. I have to make updates later today on the different things I had to spend money on. But part of it is going to be episodes like this where I just got, like I've said it before, I have a lot of random thoughts. Like, I look outside and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? And so I think I'll share some of those random thoughts. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. I am gonna take. I think he said it in a video. Mr. Beast said, people ask like, how do you go viral on YouTube? I can't say my goal is to go viral, but my goal is to improve. But people have asked him that, and he's like, go post 100 videos. And he's like, people who actually do it, they no longer have that question anymore. So my goal is just to, get better, because he's pretty dope at what he does. But to also, I don't know, do something cool. So I am going to just post and find my flow and find my voice in what we do, or what I'm doing. And like I said, the only thing I know confidently I'll be posting about consistently is my finances. That part I feel very rock solid on. The other stuff like today, I don't know. I feel weird. I don't like how close I am to this camera. It's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna just stop and accept what's happening. It's fine. Anyway, so other episodes gonna be like really random, like today. So I was on the phone with someone and I was just talking to them about Roe v. Wade, right? And I really want to study sexual freedom, the women's rights movement, sexual freedom, and the rise of single motherhood. And I really hope this doesn't come off as judgmental, but I'm gonna say it, like, our society is weird, bro. Like, I live in America, in case that's not clear by the accent. Our society is so flippin' weird. And I say that because when I was like 17, I remember studying like women's rights and the sexual freedom movement just for like my own interest. I think I was writing a paper, but I was like super curious about it. One thing I remember about myself, like being in high school, I'd be like super interested in something and I'd be like, oh, I'll do my homework on this. Because it's like, choose a topic, write a paper, and I would never finish the paper. Do all the research, never finish the paper. I was too curious, but not committed. It's a bad habit. But I remember like just doing research about how part of the feminism movement was deeply rooted in sexual freedom. And so that looks at reproductive health, access to birth control, just general information and education about how the woman's body works and how to best take care of ourselves. A lot of that is not that old. Like, that was not understood until like the 70s and the 80s, which is crazy to think. I mean, it's 2024. That's still like, that's not that long ago. And so like them fighting for the right to have transparency in what was in birth control, all of those things didn't really happen until like the 70s and the 80s. And that's kind of crazy. Like I said, that's crazy. But then thinking about what did that really bring on? So that if you look back in the 20s, I look at feminism as like this weird thing now. And I know that we have the different waves of feminism, and maybe I should look at those as like distinct, like understanding their distinctions. But I look back at one thing that to me was very integral in the narrative of American feminism in the 20s, and it was kind of like it was, I hate to say it this way, it was about white women. And it was like, and I don't say that like, well, white people, but it makes a difference because the white woman's experience in America was different than other women. And so it was just like looking at it and looking at the things, the narrative to me as I play it back in my head sounds very much like we want the right to do what men do. And I look up now and I hear the conversations people have now, and I realize that that was not it wasn't an overt thing, right? We want the right to vote like how men vote. That's not crazy. That's not crazy, right? We want the right to go to school like how men go to school and go to college. We want the right to work, have full-time jobs. We want we want all these things that men want. And that has been like an underlying narrative of equality for women. And when it comes to sex and sexual freedom, if you take that same narrative, we want the right to do what men do, it doesn't hold up for women. And that's super scary, because I feel like when I think about Roe v. Wade, it's like Roe v. Wade just like punches women in the face like, hey, this we want to do what men do is a lie. There's a limit to that, because we're fundamentally just not them. And what am I saying explicitly? I'm saying like, you want the right to vote like how men vote. Cool. You want to work like how they work. Cool. You want access to the same jobs that they get. Cool. You want comparable worth, meaning, you want to get paid like how they get paid. Cool. You want to have sexual freedom, i.e. sexual irresponsibility the way that they do. Nature said no. That's not a legislation thing that I can control. Nature said no, because men can sleep around and not run the risk of getting tied down to a little human that bears evidence that they've slept around, that like lives as evidence that they've done that for 10 months and potentially 20 years. And I look at, I was just thinking about this, and I'm like, why did no one notice that the narrative about feminism wasn't ever really about respect for women, but it was about becoming equals to men? And equal is about sameness, and we're not the same. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with not being the same. I think, and this is something I'm trying to create a limit on how long I make these videos. So obviously, if anyone sees this video, there's going to be stuff missing. You're going to like watch it and be like, there's so many gaps in what she's saying. Yeah, there's going to be gaps in what I'm saying, because this is, like I said, it's something I've thought about for a while, but it's not a comprehensive video I'm going to release about this entire topic. It's something that I've been looking at through the Bible. I've been looking at through history, and I've been just looking at for myself as like, how do I perceive this as an individual? And that is to say, like, women do have roles in life, and there's nothing wrong with those roles that inherently make them unequal, and inherently, or I guess equal is the wrong word, that inherently make them bad. No, that inherently make them unequal and bad. They're equal in value. That is the sameness that all we need, is that they're equal in value. And so I look at, and so like I said, I started out talking about single motherhood, women's rights, and Roe v. Wade. This is something I really want to study, and I feel like somebody has. I'm going to look into it. I feel like somebody has, because the more free women have like begged to be, the more miserable we've become. And some people say, well, I'm not miserable. And I'm like, but y'all the ones on social media complain about capitalism and inequality and misogyny and patriarchy and all these different things. And it's like, okay, you happy though? You happy working 70, 80-hour work weeks and then going home to raise a kid? No, you're not. I don't have children. No. Most women are not happy doing that. They're tired. And I look back, and when I remember reading it, I was like, why did we ask to go to work? Why didn't we just ask for men to be more supportive? I don't understand. And maybe that's a simpleton answer. Maybe I'm stupid for saying that. Maybe I'm missing the point. Totally open to that. Not opposed. However, I definitely look at this, and I think a lot of marks were missed and a lot of opportunities were missed as women to solve this problem. And the problem was a lack of equity. I'm sick of hearing that word too, but truthfully, it is equity amongst men and women in the roles they play in society, meaning shared responsibility. And there was a lack of respect and understanding of that equity, because I think women have always been valuable players in society, valuable members of society, and I don't think we understood it or had high regard for the role that women played in society. And I think only now that we see them out of that role for so long do we get it. So why does this bring me to single motherhood? Let me get to that other thing, like the single motherhood thing. So I just looked up and I was like, our society is so weird, because at one point being a single mother was something to be like almost like pitied but respected, because you still did what you were supposed to do. You know, like you did what you were supposed to do. You took care of your kid. It wasn't easy. And you did it with less support. And so you needed more community support. Now it's weird, because it's like being a single mother is even more highly respected or highly regarded. Let me not say respected, just regarded. Partially because we don't have the community support that was supposed to exist for these women. So a lot of them are doing a lot of things alone. But as we look back at sexual freedoms and women's rights and I'm gonna do what men do, it's like, so how did you end up here? And I hate that. Like, someone's gonna watch this video and be like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're judging people. But I'm asking a genuine question. Like, take a second and look back. Like, how did you end up here? Did you end up here because the person you were with turned out to be unreliable and a person of poor character? That's one thing. Did they die? That's another thing. Did they go to jail under unforeseen circumstances, unexpected circumstances? That's a different thing. Did you perpetually choose the wrong person? That's nothing to be revered. Like, I genuinely think as a society, we have normalized, single motherhood is on the rise in America. It like actually is on the rise in America. And I would not put it past the increase in our perception of sexual freedom for women. And one thing I feel like I was falling into is this reverse narrative that I somehow looked up and said this is a lie, is that freedom equals slavery. Slavery equals freedom. And this narrative of sexual freedom, and I'm gonna give you the pinnacle of what I mean, is I remember sitting in college one day and they were explaining like sex toys in this club after. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we here? What? You can imagine. I was like, wait, what? I didn't come here for this. I think I should leave. I did not come here to have this conversation with y'all. And something the presenter said was like, yeah, why wouldn't we want to have sex with as many people as possible? Like, women should have the freedom to do that. And I was like, why would you want to do that? That, to me, that's strange. Like, and no disrespect if that's you. Actually, yeah, you're gonna feel disrespected. It is what it is. Oh well. That's strange. I'm like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? I'm like, my body's my temple. My body is sacred. My body is valuable. Why would I want to just let a bunch of people up in here? Why? Like, that does not make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. Anything that's and this is just a principle of economics and life. Anything that is of value is not readily accessible. It's not. So if you perceive yourself to be someone of value, you just can't be readily accessible. Why would you want to have as many partners as you would like?